pressure's rise, building up inside, trying to break it down. But you come back stronger, ready to fight. Can't wait any longer. It's our time. It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars to make it. Stronger than that. It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars to make it. Stronger than that. Stronger than that.
Ethan Burrell, big spin by the 50-60s. It won't be enough. Chris Record on the back of Johnny Johns, who covers the spot. Johnny, it's going to Victor Lane at the opponent scores the win. The home place beer completely beat by
It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars that make it. Stronger than that. It's like a force of nature. No stopping now. It's the stars that make it. Stronger than that. Stronger than that.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Elite Racing Network, as tonight it's the Elite Racing League's coverage of the JoinAPS.com Cup Series. For that, the Lintz creative design here tonight for the Bristol Dirt Race, as drivers are prepared to attack here tonight. We got just done last week with a crazy full-length Arlington race. Tonight, it's 150 laps at the last great Coliseum, but full of dirt. Dirt track racing style for a ton of drivers here tonight. Over 40-plus drivers have made it overall in, and it looks like our final total going to be 46 drivers, all going to be trying to tackle tonight's race. As you see all the drivers trying to get gridded up, qualifying is done. We're getting ready to go racing, and taking the pole award, it's going to be that of Zachary Rogers in the number 12. Chad Thornquist in the 02, R.C. Enerson in that third position, with David Shieldhouse going to be joining us here in fourth place. Also going to be coming in is that of Gerald Campbell. David Tooker, also going to be that of Liam Joyner, as well as Wesley Crump, Tyler Fody, and also going to be seeing that Jesse Ramius going to be joining us. That's your top 10 as the rest of the field goes through. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on the Elite Racing Network. For myself, Sam Dyer, I've got that as well. David Huckleberry. David, tonight should be interesting, not as long as last week we hoped for, but certainly a different aspect these drivers have to tackle here tonight.
I threw on a whole bunch of extra tear-offs on our cameras tonight, so we'll be able to get that dirt off of there and show you the action.
As these drivers going to be having themselves 150 laps, and after taking a lot of notes in drivers and also admins, originally we're going to have a mid-race competition caution thrown that has been removed after the thoughts that tonight could be a caution fest of an evening. And David, I think that's the one thing I'm curious on how they're going to run through this field, is who is going to be patient, who's going to be over aggressive, and can you survive the wrecks that are going to happen here tonight?
Yeah, everybody's talking about being patient up front at the beginning, but with that many cars on track, it's just hard. You're not used to playing on dirt, and you're just going to get into other guys, and it could be just mayhem all night long, at least until we dwindle the field down.
Absolutely. I think around that lap 40 to 80, we might be able to get a little bit of maybe green flag racing action. I think more so 80 to 100 might be a better look, just because of the amount of drivers we have here tonight. As a couple of drivers going to be given EOL penalties to start this race off. Going to be that of Hank Steinmiller, as well as that of Robert Hill Jr., Cash James, as well as that of Wyatt Knadel. Going to be those drivers getting ready for tonight's race. They'll be sent to the end of the line, as up front, the drivers are already pacing and getting themselves ready to get rolling. 150 laps of dirt track racing action on who can survive and make it to the end. As a couple of other drivers were given EOLs, that of Kyle Waldergreen going to be given one as well. A lot of drivers were asking, I want an EOL to start at the end of the line because they want to stay out of trouble. But I don't even think staying at the end of the line is going to keep you out of trouble because these brakes really don't slow down. They slide on this dirt. Feels like you're more on ice than you are on any other surface. So these drivers are going to have a handful, and it's just going to get slicker and slicker as the race goes on. This track surface is going to be at 0%, meaning that these drivers are on the cleanest track possible. It's going to get worn in. You're going to see the track dynamic change throughout the night. And 46 cars ready to go roaring here tonight. The pace truck is off. And Zachary Rogers, Chad Thornquist, already, we're green. And that inside line's checking up, and that's going to be danger. But somehow we stay green for now.
Yeah, Rogers kind of brake checked R.C. Anderson on that start.
And it's going to be seeing that a Thornquist to the outside for the 0-2. Going to get by Rogers in the goal, get up front, get the track position, and then see how this track evolves as the 0-2 leads lap number 1. It's all the drivers further on back, single file for now, but already a bunch of different drivers trying different lanes. R.C. Anderson getting a little bit of a tap to that outside wall as he's trying to get by the 20 of that of David Shieldhouse. As lap cars, drivers that decide to start on pit road are in the way. It's going to be that of Chris Wright as well as that of Wesley Crump that started on pit road, as well as Wesley Hunt, and they're rushing behind.
Tempers flaring already. Let's take a look at what happened. Like it's Chad in the 15, Chad Frankenfield.
You're going to be seeing drivers diving it down low and all over the place. As that's going to be Jeff Green in front, as well as going to be the one of Joshua Adams, but going to see the contact further ahead, and it's just a chain reaction that gets other drivers spun around.
Jeff Green, and then Chad Frankenfield.
I got to say, though, we survived at least for 2 laps. I mean, that's quite impressive for this field. I think a lot of them even said 2 laps might be the longest run we might be able to get, especially on this clean surface as we get another look at this incident.
Yeah, Brent Jones gets to the back of the 95, and that sends him down into the 38, and the 38 collects the 15, and I think those are the 4 involved. Not a lot of bad damage.
Not about a lot of bad damage, but there is a new damage model that was just implemented here today. It's week 13. It's the week that iRacing implements a lot of their changes that are going to be placed in for this 13-week season for the online service. And for a lot of these drivers, they were testing the limits of how these cars are going to react with bumping into one another and into the wall. These cars seem a lot more fragile than the old system that they had, but at the same time, you got to hit them at the right spot in the wheel well if you're going to see the damage truly implemented.
Run through the field here, try to give you some updates on people. We'll probably very rarely get all the way through the field, at least for a while. But we'll do our best to let you see everybody.
And if you're curious on where drivers are lying, they will be on our ticker board on the left, as first driver going to be a lap down was going to be that of Mark Ribelas, as well as going to be seeing Wesley Crump going to be a lap down. Chris Wright, who we saw the leaders go about to pass and did pass at the time of the yellow, actually got the lucky dog spot for the 57. And for that of Chad Frankenfield in pit road, still trying to get repairs done. Currently 1 lap down, about to go 2 laps down for himself. As up front, going to be...
Hey, there you go, Chris. We'll show you why you're clean. Clean and wrinkle-free.
I think that's the big thing for a lot of these drivers. How clean are they really going to be after tonight's race? I know they're going to get mucked up with the dirt, but how much damage are they all going to have? And will anyone have an incident-free type of a night? As drivers are getting stacked up and ready to go, questions are looming on how the patience level is going to be ran out for the rest of this race. Again, it's only 150 laps, but these laps can tick away very quickly if we have a lot of cautions that build up. This is only caution number 1 after the finish of lap 2. But David, these drivers, there's talks about extending these yellows to allow drivers to get back out on track. But if you extend time and allow drivers to get back out on track, you're still going to keep these large fields, which are going to bloom out to even having more caution. So you're in that catch-22.
Yeah, it'll just pile up the cautions. So.
As our front two ready to get rolling, as everyone's getting in line, pace car lights are off. It's going to be Chad Thornquist, Zachary Rogers, as well as RC Anderson, David Shieldhouse, and Gerald Campbell, your top five. Ready to get rolling here tonight for our first restart of the evening. Base truck pulls off into the restart zone we go, as we are back to green flag racing. That outside line got a much better launch, as there goes Thornquist already pulling away, and here comes RC Anderson. Contact as the 50 gets sent to the outside wall, and now they're going to be 3 wide as David Tooker tries to find himself a little bit of peak.
RC's found himself in that wall a few times already.
It's going to be seeing 2, 3, 4 different lanes going to be utilized, technically 5 if you really want to try all the way down to the apron. Some might be wall riding by the end of the day, as we're already starting to feel some comfort level for the drivers that are up front for our front 5. They're really starting to pull away, but really the drivers battling for 7th are looking so chaotic, and you can see them further on back, but it's going to be the 12. Rogers giving the bump, trying to help that of Shieldhouse to get by RC Enerson. As our leader, Chad Thornquist, is gone. He's nowhere to be seen at the moment.
That's one way to stay safe. Stay by yourself for a while.
But the issue here at Bristol is you might pull away, but there's 45, 46 drivers out there on track, which means you're going to catch up to the tail end of the lead in a blink of an eye. And right now, for that of our leader of Chad Thornquist, he's only got about 5 seconds of a gap before he catches the tail end of this group, and he's already starting to see a little bit of lap traffic in front of him, as that's going to be the 48 of Nick Massey, who's slow and just trying to survive at this moment, but about to be swarmed by the rest of the field. Now gets into, as this is the tail end of the lead group, and the mayhem and the drivers now, they're going to be a lap down, and this for our leader of Thornquist. He finds himself over a 1.5 seconds ahead of David Shieldhouse, Rogers, and others, but the lap traffic factor can change everything as contact with our leader, and already sparks being flown around as they'll set up and try again. It's, oh no, wrecking behind, it's Gerald Campbell, Ethan Burrell, going to be caught up in this one.
Go back here and take a look and see what happened with Gerald.
Looks like Gerald Campbell
Ethan
might have been
Burrell.
searching for the wrong place on where grip was at, as we take a look at this replay.
A little bit squirrely. Got Rasmus right there behind him.
Then he completely loses it there, and at this point you're trying to get the car straight. You've got no control really, and this is a race ender moment, because hey, look, there's the water barrels, and then Ethan Burrell, because the 31 goes back up on track, has to slide and avoid the barrels for himself, and luckily does, and avoids the cone for an unsafe pit entry.
Yeah, he's wanting to go everywhere but down pit lane right now. I don't know, Gerald. I think Gerald has to blame that Tampa Bay livery. I don't know if that was a good choice.
I mean, football season's right around the corner. You never know. I mean, it'd be a good season for them.
He's in week 1 shape, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, too much of an off break, I guess, for himself. We'll see how well he can rebound after that incident. Gerald Campbell going to be given a what we call a meatball flag. It's a black flag with an orange circle, meaning you have required damage. You have to come into pit road and sit in pit road for however long iRacing deems the damage that you have ensued on your car is going to take for it to get fully repaired before you can get back out on track. And that's going to be the big factor on if drivers can stay on the lead lap, make sure they don't get caught up with another issue, as see there, tally going to be given to the 31. You see more drivers hitting pit road, but David, I mean, only 10 laps into that restart. I mean, a little bit less than 10 laps, and Chad Thornquist and the rest of our leaders caught up to the tail end of this lead pack. That is a terrifying thought, that you could be leading this thing feeling comfortable for only a handful of laps, and then you've got lap traffic that is going to put you in the thick of things immediately and can throw away your race, as we saw the 0-2 get contact before that yellow flag came out.
Yeah, if you're the leader, you're definitely wanting to see a few cautions at least to clear out the field a little bit. That's a few less people you have to pass. But yeah, if you're only getting a handful of laps on your own, then it's just nonstop passes after that.
That driver that made contact with our leader was Mark Ribelos. That's back into pit road for a quick moment. Get a dash of damage and fuel, and back out there on track, which that was something I was talking with the drivers before, as here's an incident that was going on, I believe, during pacing. I was going to be seeing the two getting a little bit of a tap.
You just got to push.
And sometimes you got to entertain yourself, as these pace laps can take a long time, as we're under our second caution of the day. But, you know, seeing these drivers try to be patient is going to be a tough thing, as Chad Thornquist is going to be leading the way. But trying to keep yourself out of trouble is going to be a hard thing to do, knowing that your race could be thrown away in an instant just because you're being so much faster than the rest of the field. But Thornquist has got to be careful. But another thing to watch out for is this track surface. It is going to be changing a lot throughout tonight. We're only 20 laps in, but this track surface already showing a little bit of shape. You see that darker groove starting to show up, that the drivers for the 20 and the 12 on the inside lane starting to show. That groove is going to get darker, it's going to get shinier, and it's more slicker as the race continues on, as we're back to green flag racing.
Whoa.
And Chad Thornquist is gone, as that inside lane really didn't get going at all. See all the different lanes. David Shieldhouse a little wiggly on the inside. He'll survive, as RC Anderson trying to hold off on the outside, but it's the 19. David Tucker keeping that 19 straight, and the speed and momentum is there. As we get to take the aerial view of seeing how these front runners are trying to attack. The big thing to watch out for on top of this track changing is, oh boy, the 70 gets a little bit of contact from that Tyler Fode, and they're wrecking behind. It's going to be Jeff Green that's going to be having some issues, as well as going to be with the 0-8 of Keeler.
Jump on board with Jeff Green here. He's behind Robert Hill. Hill checks up a little bit.
And that's just racing for the same real estate. And that does not work with motorsports racing. Got to give each other a little bit more space than that. And obviously two drivers with different mentalities colliding there to bring out our third caution of the day. Let's take another look at it. I mean, David, there's not much you can do at this point. Like I said before, this track feels like an ice skate rink, and the 0-8 probably felt that like that thing was sliding down, while Jeff Green felt so stable and holding his lane.
Yeah, the car's all over the place, so you just a couple of feet can be covered in a split second.
So we've seen a lot of wrecks so far. Some drivers already out of this, like Gerald Campbell. He has parked it and is done for the day. We've seen other drivers go in the opposite direction. Up to that 16th, it's Hunter Smith, our biggest mover of the day. That of our two-time champion of the series. Up to 21st, that's where we find Tate Lytle in the 56 machine, up 20 position, second biggest mover. So
kind of a different look for Tate.
A lot
Texan
of football
car.
schemes. I mean, it makes sense that this would be this would be a football schemed type of a night, with drivers getting excited with the football season right around the corner, going to be starting tomorrow night.
Race control is considering going to 3-lap cautions. Asking, I guess it needs to be unanimous before they'll change it.
I get where they're coming from with wanting to change that, but I think if anything, it might be safer keeping it at the traditional 5 laps, because of the fact that there's going to be drivers trying to get a wave around if they're a lap down. And if you put it to 3, the drivers that have to have a wave around are going to have to take off immediately, which could cause more calamity than good. So I'm curious on this thought, but hey, the admins want to try to make this race be under green more than under caution. So they're trying to get aggressive on these pacing laps.
It feels like, too, it's one of those things that, hey, we'll try it, but we don't know what it's going to cause. So, yeah, we could be regretting it after we change it. And I guess I could always change it back.
That is very true. And, you know, a rule that have been notified to the drivers, if there's a lot of cautions that ramp up and there's just a caution after caution after caution, drivers have been told race control has the ability to change this restart from a 2-wide restart to single file. And if they just deem that we have to go to single file restarts, it will stay single file restarts for the rest of the race. So these drivers have to get into a more of a consistent run in green flag racing. Otherwise, these great opportunities of being side by side on these restarts will be thrown away, and you're going to have to just sit and simmer, which honestly could hurt our leader more than anyone else, as we're back to green flag racing. And you see the outside lane, David Shieldhouse did not get through the gears as well as he wanted to. Going to be side by side out of that of turn number 2. The battle for third is on. Tucker as well as David Shieldhouse going to be side by side. You look at the rest of the field, though, deeper in that, battling for 10th, and further on back, going to be 2-3 wide action for themselves. It's going to be drivers getting out of shape, and I believe that was going to be the 87 that really got low and slow as the rest of the field tries to hold on. Coming up to lap 30, and already going to be seeing Joyner utilizing the apron. That's a risky call to go down there. It's a lot flatter of a surface for that 0-3 to be working on, but he certainly is trying his best. As you also see the 70 trying to catch up to that Ryan Gavilan. Right now, hopping on board with Joyner and seeing how he wants to run this racetrack. You can see on the entry and kind of the center of the corner, the middle of this track, starting to get what we call shiny. It's slicking off, and these drivers got to choose. Do they want to go high, low? It's not until the track is fully as, oh no!
Rasmus around.
They keep it straight, though, as we stay green. But for how long is the true question, as drivers ducking and weaving to get by everyone else. And the 70 still out of control, but at least pointing in the right direction. There's a lot of drivers had to evade the 70 machine there.
Oh, we did a good job of keeping it green there.
Keeping it green for the quick moment.
Oh, contact.
As nope.
You're...
And Ethan Burrell, 37, going to be bringing out this yellow. As this is going to be a very unique rack. Watching out for the 44 and the 37 on this incident.
Get side by side, and then Goodman kind of takes both of them up into the wall. Looks like they're the only two involved.
You see a little bit of Brent Jones sliding through as well for the 89. As we ride on board with 37 of Ethan Burrell and the big thing. One of the with dirt racing, you're trying your best to hold your line. It feels almost impossible at points. But kind of what we call diamonding, hitting the apex and then shooting back down across. And Goodman was trying to just hold his own line. That's another driver that's going to be with a lot of damage, and it looks like drivers are going to get a little bit of an extended caution this go around of pacing. Well, as the drivers get to have a little bit of an extended restart, we'll go down the list of drivers that have been having their issues here tonight. First driver to call it a night is the 31 of Gerald Campbell. Two drivers going to have required damage they have to deal with. Ryan Gavel, after his contact with 70 machine, is going to have some required damage, and he comes into pit road. Luckily going to stay on the lead lap, but has to go to the tail end of the line. Michael Goodman, after his contact with Ethan Burrell, is still in pit road for that of the 44. And Mark Keeler and Ethan Burrell both are going to have black flags. We'll see if those get cleared heading into this restart.
A lot of emotions flying in driver chat right now.
And it's not surprising. I know I think about half the field really was hoping maybe we could switch this race out. There were even talks of, trying to pay their way to change this race from the dirt Bristol race to the actual, concrete race. And it just wasn't something that the admins wanted to have, which this has been a tough season so far. This is only race number 5 of the season for these drivers. They had Daytona, which is a shootout wildcard race. You never know who's going to win that. Then they've got Las Vegas, which is another shootout race where Fody won both of those. Ryan Gavel winning at Monza Road Course, and then Darlington. And then you got the dirt race here tonight. I mean, it does not get any easier. And then going in 2 weeks, as we got next week off, heading to the Roval for these drivers. It's not even the Oval, it's the Roval at Charlotte. And then back to short track racing, Gateway, that's going to be a tough track. And then a little bit more traditional racing after the next 3 runs. As Pace Truck pulls off, it's time to go back to green flag racing. Chad Thornquist in the restart zone. And once again, the inside lane struggling to take off. And David Shieldhouse is the best opportunity he's had to make the pass for second.
Thornquist never wastes any time getting started.
He just gets into gear, takes off, but he feels comfortable, and they'll pull away. As R.C. Enerson just taking off like a rocket ship at moments. He looks so good in the center of the corner. And coming off of that, it turns that of, I believe it's turn 2. And that's where a lot of this speed is coming from, as David Tooker getting the nose down as yellow flag comes out, back half the field. Going to bring out this yellow. That's going to be the 93 of Cash James.
He's running up high. And he just kind of loses it, trying to get it under control. Gets into Robert Hill, the 2 car. Chris Wright gets underneath. Jeff Green gets by. Gavel gets a little contact. Goodman's going to slide sideways.
And Goodman right there, that's what happens when you jab on the brakes. It automatically just wants to turn that rear end as the 11 of Weeks gets into Bronson Stafford. This is a separate incident.
Oh,
Shane
hard.
Tarian.
Hard into Shane.
Another driver just piling in. And with that body slam for Matthew Weeks, he's now going to be having required damage coming to pit road 4.
That was all kind of as the caution was coming out up front, happening at the same time.
We're 40 laps in, and this was kind of the marker for a lot of the drivers that they were saying 40 laps into this racetrack is going to be used up and very dangerous. As now we're going to get to see who practiced dirt track racing, who feels comfortable, and who's just going to have bad luck because you see the 84 get slammed by the Ford machine.
Try to run down through the field here a little bit. Let's see some more of the drivers.
David Shieldhouse also going to be, there's our pole sitter of Zach Rogers. Fell back to 5th place. Going to hope to find a little bit of extra speed. There's Tyler Fody, our points leader. Joyner, who looked quick at Darlington for the first half last week, then started to fall off. Johnny Thomas is having a good run. Scott Crump's hoping that his traditional woes don't continue on of looking quick and up in the top 10 and then caught up in a wreck. And Kwame Scott, we saw involved with that first wreck of tonight. And the trend I'm not excited about here, David, is the fact that we've had 5 cautions and we're not even at lap 50. That is one thing I'm a little concerned about.
Yeah, that could not bode well.
Well, we're stacked up, ready to go. Pace car lights are off. We're trying to get these restarts as quick as possible. And Pace truck is off. We've seen it every single restart. Let's see it again. Crump, it's going to be seen. Thornquist is gone. But will all the drivers further behind be able to stay in line or stay out of trouble? And that question is answered no.
Caution again.
David, are you ready for Pace Car Simulator? This is Pace Car Simulator 2022 dirt track style. As you can take a look here at what happened to Hank Steinmiller.
Like, it sounds like somebody missed a shift. Then it just accordions. One, Josh Adams gets into the back of Shieldhouse, puts him up into the wall. Joey Chapman involved. McMassey.
McMassey gets a clip. And luckily from that incident, it looked worse than it actually was, as you will see nobody with required damage. A lot of just slide taps and continue rolling on. Whoa.
Oh, pretty good pop on the back end of Chad there by Jeff Green.
Yeah. I think Jeff Green obviously thought there was going to be an opening that he could just slide on through with how fast he was flying compared to how the 83 was seeing that accident.
Mark Keeler did a good job of getting through. I don't know.
Whoa.
Oh. No damage.
Always the fear is when you see someone stop completely perpendicular on the track is, are they going to move or are they not going to move? And right there, Michael Goodman thought he was clear enough to take off, and drivers got a little bit more nerve-wracking in that incident.
So as I was saying, I'll pick up where I left off, and Justin Durer, 8 light on the 56 Texans. Last warning before we go single file racing there. Josh Adams.
I mean, as we're closing in on the 1/3 marker of this race being done, already 6 cautions in, I would not be surprised if we, even if they go to single file racing, I don't know if that's really going to fix any of the issues so far.
Probably not. We're probably going to pop up cautions somewhere else.
It's Cash James going to be the second driver to call it a night with that of Gerald Campbell. Still in pit road, going to be Ethan Burrell from earlier incidents. Also, Mark Keeler is in pit road, and Matthew Weeks still in pit road. Leaving us with 40 drivers still out on track. As pace car lights are off, and you see the leaders and everyone else stacking up, ready to get rolling.
Lottie there. We have them momentarily went to green, so I think we're on quickie yellows now. That might look a little weird on the broadcast, that it'll start counting the cautions when they flip it over to green for a second and then to another yellow.
The rest of the field, this is one of those situations. They just cleared black flags, and sometimes when you clear full black flags, it can get something's tricky with the iRacing system. So drivers trying to navigate how they're going to do this quick green and then back to a yellow flag to try to make sure everyone is stacked up and in the right position, and allowing some drivers get back onto the lead lap. And as this is going on, gives us time to give a shout out to some of our sponsors. That of our race sponsor for tonight's race, that of Lines Graphics. I mean, Lintz Creative Designs, as they are a professional web developers and graphic firm located in that of South Bend. Their designs have a feature for local businesses and professional motorsports. Check them out on that of lintzcreative.com. As the drivers will see the pace car pull off, but we're going to get a quick yellow that should change this up. So they're going to take off, quick moment, and the yellow flag should come out. I believe that was the thought. In theory, that's why it looks like we're going to stay green moving forward here, David, as it's still going to be that Chad Thornquist dominate on these restarts. As Egan's going to get a little bit too high for the quick entry, and the leader goes across the line, and we will continue to stay green, so no quick yellow will be thrown. That was a a hypothetical thought, I guess, as Tucker gets
Tucker.
into David Shieldhouse. We're going to go 3 wide, 4 wide for a quick moment. Now we're going to be seeing that a Joyner to the outside of the 19, and they survive for the quick spot. But now all different times of trying to be aggressive. Scott Crump's going to get into that of Johnny Thomas. Now we're going to see the 40 of Tyler Fody side by side with the 20 machine. Everyone's rubbing against one another, but this track's getting used up a lot more. It all used to look like the front and the back stretch color schemes, a very nice tan color. Starting to see it get darker and slicker for these drivers, and that means got to be wheeling these cars a little bit more, trying to figure out if you want to be slower on entry, quicker into the entry of the corners, which means the exit is going to be so different. There's almost a little bit of contact going to be further up ahead as the middle of this pack getting dangerous with one another.
Couple cars
Richard
around.
Hines.
Right here with Richard Hines is going to be involved.
I was going to see the 84 get loose here in front of the 87 and nowhere to go for himself.
And they both get turned. He missed the end of the wall, which is good, damage-wise. I don't see anybody else getting involved.
But the damage of the 84 getting into the wheel well was just enough of a bump for required damage for the 87 to have to come into pit road. So we'll see how long that damage is going to take. We've seen some drivers only have to be in pit road for that of 15 seconds, and it quickly fixes that toe length. Other drivers have been stuck in a pit road for over that of 15 minutes. We'll see how this is going to change things up as another yellow flies 8 so far. 84 is going to take fault. And for those that are watching here tonight, thanks for joining us on the Elite Racing Network. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is David Huckleberry, who's doing a little bit of double duty commentating and running production. And David, I think just to make things fun, we're 8 cautions in. We just got past the 1/3 marker. How many cautions do you feel like we might see here tonight?
Oh, wow. Do I go realistic answer? Or I'm going to go 22. How's that?
Ooh, that's a good call.
22.
I mean, if I do the math of dividing it up and seeing the possible amount of cautions, I think 24. I'm going to go high on your call. I think I'm going to go over 22 might be my call. We'll go with 22 for yours. And if you're in the chat, how many cautions do you think we're going to have? We are 58 laps in. We're about to go green. How many yellows will we have at the end of 150 laps? We do have overtime if needed. That's another factor that could add a couple of more yellows for these drivers.
Got somebody saying over 16.
It's a low bar at the pace that we're going. We might hit 16 by lap 100. As we are on race number 5 of the season for these drivers, and that means it's time to start keeping our eyes forward to the playoffs. We got our drivers that are feeling pretty comfortable. There's not a win in your in system for these drivers. So all those that have found themselves in a victory lane, like Tyler Fody, like that of Shane Terrian from last week, those wins do not lock you into the playoffs, but it certainly gives you a nice buffer going into these next couple of weeks. Drivers to watch out for, it's got to be that 0-3 starting on the high line, trying to get going. Joyner, driver that is coming in 13th in points with only that of a 5-point buffer, and he needs a good launch for himself. Going to be side by side with that of our pole sitter of the night, Zachary Rogers. Is coming back, and oh no, contact for our front runners. There they go.
We're all still straight. We're all still rolling.
Oh, and there goes Bronson
there he
Stafford
goes.
into RC, and just too much squeezing into one another. And how ironic, around lap 61, and the 61 gets involved in it.
We kind of know what happened with that one up there. We saw that one live. This is something back in the pack with Mark Rebelus. What happens to him? He gets kind of loose, hits the Hank Steinmiller. Let's see if that contact sent Hank around. No, he's able to
solid.
keep it.
Was this? I think it's the one thing that always confuses me. Oh no,
we spoke too soon. We spoke too soon.
He didn't hit anything though, or did he? Oh boy,
not yet.
Well, after all of that, Bronson Stafford, Mark Riblos, as well as that of R.C. Enerson, all with required damage after that dramatic 2 to 3 laps we just got to see for a quick second. As more drivers send it to the garage area, that's going to be Matthew Weeks, who was trying to spend as much time at a pit road, just was underpowered too much, and the 11's going to call it a night with that of Cash James as well as Gerald Campbell. RC is going to hit pit road, as well as going to be Bronson Stafford. Chantarian hits pit road, our winner from last week. Not going to be having the day that they were hoping for, but honestly, a race like this, David, I would much rather be at a super speedway track than a dirt race for this long because of the complete wild unknown. I mean, we even saw our leaders there. They were the ones that kind of started that whole entire chain reaction that went through the rest of the field.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When NASCAR in real life went to the dirt, I liked it for the novelty the first time they did it, but I'm kind of over it. I kind of would rather watch them. I'd rather watch a lot of Darlingtons than I would any dirt race.
I mean, it certainly is interesting. I think the thing that's hurting is the lack of experience. It's kind of hurting a lot of these drivers. Most of them are rookie class and really don't touch the dirt racing aspect of fire racing. And that's going to be putting them in a tricky spot. I mean, it's kind of close to, we look at the road, iRating class and the experience that drivers take each season into road course racing. It's kind of similar of, some drivers feel confident, others don't feel as confident in road course or in dirt aspects of racing, but it's more of a survival game than anything else as we are down. Started with 45 drivers that started the grid. We have only 31 that are on the lead lap, and about that of 35 that are still out on track as we are ready to go back to green flag racing. Will Chad Thornquist have another mistake that could be costly for a different driver, or will they be able to survive as pace truck is off, green flag's in the air? Chad Thornquist is already taking off in. It was going to be that of Crump that just could not get going for himself as the rest of the field getting going. It's 0-3, really looking comfortable in that outside lane.
Yeah, Crump's kind of causing everybody to back up as they try to get around him. He lost momentum, and then everybody was trying to go around him on the low side.
All different lanes. Now. It's going to be seeing Crump as well as Kwame going to be doing their best as everyone's just shuffling and losing a lot of speed. Also, lap traffic going to be in the mix here. That's kind of costing drivers momentum. As these drivers, this is all the battling from 10th back to 15th place that we're seeing on screen. But the battle for the lead is now on as that of going to be Chad Thornquist. For a quick moment, saw the 0-3 of Joyner. And for Joyner, this is his best opportunity. But our top 5 all within a blanket over them on who's going to attack that of Chad Thornquist.
We'll make it so
no! And gonna be spinning out and now collecting more drivers into the fray. David Tooker and David Shieldhouse. You had a feeling Chad Thornquist was gonna make the same exact move, and it happened once again, where he just goes too high, gets loose, and luckily there's a driver underneath them to keep him out of trouble.
Yeah, we'll take a look here. We'll ride with Shieldhouse. Thornquist gets two sideways and then just loses all his momentum and kind of just collects in front of him. And then Tooker gets into it. Rogers gets into it. Rasmus into the side of Tooker. 31 squeeze through. That's everybody.
There's Nick Massey coming to a squeaking halt. But for Chad Thornquist, I mean, that's the second time that's happened up front. Took out RC Enerson from his opportunity to race this thing out. And now going to be collecting David Shieldhouse and others. And just
Nowhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, when you come from the very top and cut right down because you get loose and lose too much, there's not much you can do in that situation, as David Tooker's going to lose a lot of spots. David Shieldhouse goes from battling up in second and third, now down to 29th position, getting repairs.
And Tooker had no choice but to sit there and wait for everybody to go past him.
Yeah, it's going to be putting him back to 29th position. As drivers now making the joke of, can we reset the track back to where it was before? That is not how dirt racing works. You are stuck with this track getting worse and worse. And for drivers that are inexperienced, they'll say this track gets worse and worse. For those that love a slipping and sliding around courses, dirt track style, they love it when it gets to this point. And you'll see drivers really succeed and starting to move forward. And I think that's what we're seeing from Joyner in that 0-3. Rogers, who got the pole, he's been able to hold up front. When you got about 40 other drivers that hit this track at once, these amount of yellows just continue to tack on as we've got ourselves caution number 10, as we are not even at halfway yet.
I know dirt racing is an art form. I have a neighbor, lives one house next to me, and he's a big dirt fan. He goes to Fairview, I think, over in Illinois, and watches dirt racing. Doesn't watch any of the track racing, but he swears by dirt racing as much as I do the oval racing. And it's just if you love it, you love it, and if you don't, it just looks wild to me. I've never got into the out of control nature and sliding it through the corners. But
I will say this: when it's real life watching dirt racing, it's fun because you can tell there's a lot more control involved. On iRacing side of things, it's just sending a brick out on ice and hoping that maybe it will turn. Hearing over the radio currently. That's because we were able to get a little bit of green flag racing for a quick moment. The drivers were not forced to go to single file restarts, but that has been threatened now. So drivers are in the understanding, we got to make sure we stay clean and green if we want to have a good run. It's more drivers going to call it a night. Wesley Crump, Bronson Stafford going to be joining that of Matthew Weeks, Cash James, Ethan Burrell, and Gerald Campbell for calling it a night for themselves. We got ourselves 39 drivers still willing to be out on track, and we're back to green flag racing as we are at the halfway marker of tonight's race. It's going to be that Joyner trying to make the outside lane work, but already Scott Crump gets into drivers, and that's going to be seeing Hunter Smith, who's been climbing through this field, started 43rd, now up to 5th place. This 17 is making a hero run for himself as Crump goes around. And it's a blog jam on the pit road entry. As we'll see here from Crump, Tate Lytle, two-time champ. And Scott Crump trying to hold on and trying to just hold his lane. And Thornquist just got a better run. And then they collect everybody else. It's Joshua Adams and also
David Tooker involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers going to be involved with this. It's just Eddie Corrigan's out. Everyone's running this. Yeah, I mean, you're doing your best not to run into one another, and there's not much you really can do. Because you hit the brakes, the car just wants to turn on you. You let off the gas, and it wants to just go up the track. So there's not much in control except for just try to spin yourself out. Excuse me, there, trying to go through these corners. As we are now halfway and 11 cautions in, so based off the trends,
22.
He almost just called it a night. As Chris Wright is trying to go up the field. We were talking with Chris before we went live, and You know, it was just to try to keep this car as clean as possible. He's done that. He started on pit road, went a lap down, almost caused an incident there. And now, slowly climbing up the field, and this is exactly what you want to see, is the drivers that are keeping their nose clean are starting to move forward. Sounds like drivers have been threatened once again. If we get a caution quickly within a lap or two on this next restart, we will be going into that of another a chance of going to single file restarts, which these drivers, I would imagine they don't want that, but it might clean up this racing just a little bit. Well, up front, going to be that of Zachary Rogers, Lithium Joyner, as well as that of Jesse Rasmus is going to be your front three, as Rogers gone. Joyner didn't even know when to go.
Yeah, I don't think he knew it went green.
Tyler Fode going to be sending it down low, forcing it
Rasmus
3 wide. And now is the questionable moment. We're 80 laps into this run. How many drivers can really keep it down low? Who can keep it off of the brim on the outside and find that curbing to really just cushion that can keep you off that outside wall? But I'm expecting a little bit of wall riding here to start to trickle in as this track gets more and more worn down. As Tyler Fode looking good, but it won't last for very long, as we might be having a yellow pop up as some drivers finding issues in the middle of the field, but we continue to stay green. It's Tyler Fode up to second, trying to catch up to our pole sitter, Rogers, who kept himself out of trouble, but it's going to be Hunter sliding around, but it's going to be trickling of bringing out a yellow deeper in the field.
Yeah, I don't know. Who is it down low? There was a car down low right off of the pit lane. I don't know.
Looking through the field at the moment of figuring out who it was.
The 38.
Oh, yep. It's going to be that of Jeff Green.
Looks like we had him and Wyatt Nadel get into each other, go into the pit lane. And then what we saw, that didn't draw the caution. But I think it was when Jeff Green came out of pit lane and went back on the track.
I was about to say, did he just phase through the wall? Be incredible.
Go around the cone.
It's week 13. I mean, Jeff Green's lucky. Yeah, there's the
That's not an
drivers coming
advised
on
move.
by. That is that is we're virtual racing. I'm gonna put myself back on track.
That is not procedure.
I'd imagine Jeff Green giving a black flag with an unsafe pit entry and exit with that one. I
don't know how many we got to go before we go to green here. I was just going to grab Chris real quick and just bring him up in here. Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, Dave?
Having fun yet?
Hey, we're just surviving. I'm happy to be running 20th. I just out here trying to survive. We kind of got caught up in that mess a little bit ago, but it wasn't too bad. We were able to get slowed down before we hit anything.
Hey, I put us at 22 cautions, so anything you can do to make me right, would that be cool?
Hey, we're going to have a lot of cautions. We just went single file, though. I don't know if you guys know that. So we're single file the rest of the night. But, I mean, it's just on dirt. It's something not a lot of us have any experience doing. It's all, I talked to you before. It's expected. I expected this. I think everybody did. At least it's, even with the cautions, we're already just 70 laps from home or whatever, so it's not too bad.
I mean, Chris, it's looking like it's going to be a tough night overall, and it looks like we're about to go back to green flag racing, so we'll let you go back to having fun in the slippery dirt out there.
Yeah, we're just surviving. I'm just trying to run low, run slow, and stay out of the way and survive to the end.
As we are back to green flag racing, as we get right along with Chris Wright that we were just talking with, and the 57 going to be moving up to that of the 12 machine of our leader. At Zachary Rogers got the pole award, fell back to 6th in the early 20 laps, but obviously he knew something that we didn't, and he has been climbing through this field and recovering quite well. And oh boy, aggressive driving for our drivers for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. As the 70 machine just putting all the pressure on with an aggressive surge into the corner, and now everyone going to be trying different slide job moves. Can you make the pass, as it's going to be 3 wide for that of 3rd place?
Tyler Fody does a nice job with car control. I think it's just when other people get around him, they're pretty wild.
Oh boy. And Joyner gets sent up.
I think Fody's where he wants to be now. He's away from everybody. Let them do what they're doing behind him.
I like that. Getting back into the throttle that Joyner just did as another driver, one of our top contenders in the first 60 laps of this race. RC Unison is done. As Joyner as well as Thomas side by side, and we're getting to the point of this race. You can see it's so slicked off in the corners. There's really, it's stay extremely low or go up into the outside wall. And for all these drivers that are high, you're most likely going to be caught and tapped or be utilized going through these corners as the driver on the low end. Usually very aggressive trying to make these slide job moves, as there's lap traffic, the 08 of going to be that of Mark Keeler, who's going to have to stay high and drivers trying to avoid. Factor I was throwing out of lap traffic potentially being a factor. Well, it is the factor for our leaders, as Tyler Fody, the 2-time winner this season, trying to get his 3rd. He won at Daytona, he won at Las Vegas, the 2 wildcard races, and you can make tonight another one. The 40 looking good, and he'll have the front lead with the yellow coming out.
Not seeing yet who the yellow's for. But we got somebody wall running.
And it sounds like it's Ryan Gavel that they're calling out for the wall riding, which no surprise. He was the driver that wall rode to put down the fastest lap during practice. So he obviously was putting the practice on how to wall ride properly. But right here, tries to stay off the wall, and when he does, finds himself spinning around. This driver's been notified single file for the rest of the race. They got a good clean run. I also thought I was actually going to bring up before we saw the pass for the lead and the yellow come out. David, these drivers seem to feel a lot more, or look at least a lot more comfortable with at least being single filed and a little bit spaced out from one another.
Yeah, they do. I want to... I think we need to do probably a broadcast read here of some of our sponsors. Let me go and throw one of them in there. Sorry, I was kind of looking that up and wasn't listening to your question. I'll be honest. Join APS is a joinaps.com series. APS offers a complete solution for all types of businesses that need to process credit card related transactions. Their industry-specific solutions provide the best options for your business model. They have experienced client service representatives who understand what your processing needs are. That's always Murphy's Law, is as soon as I take focus away and don't listen for a second to pull it up, I always get asked a question.
It's honestly, it's always question time all the time when working with me. I'm always going to throw out a question. And if
That's
it gets
fun.
answered,
That's
it does.
fun.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
I'll just try to pick an answer. Yes, absolutely.
And that works perfectly.
There you go.
As we're closing into the end of the third, that of 2/3 of this race in 13 laps in total. 13 cautions in total. I wish it was just 13 laps of pacing, but it's been much more than that. as the driver is still going to be pacing around. It's going to be single file restart for the rest of this race. This is race number 5 of the season for the joinaps.com Cup Series, as this is that of the Bristol Dirt Race. We got the Roval coming up in 2 weeks, as we'll have next week off. Then we're going to be seeing these drivers head to North Wilkesboro for short track racing, then go to Gateway October 5th. Then we got the third and final, going to be our Crown Jewel 3 races that were full-length races. We had that last week at Darlington, the Daytona 500 to start the season off, and then we will have the Brickyard of seeing these drivers do the full 400 miles at Indy. Then it's Phoenix and Homestead will be the cutoff race for the playoffs. And for these drivers, they're hoping that they can run clean and stay out of trouble, as we got a lot more racing. I mean, for that of Homestead's going to be the cutoff race for these drivers to feel a lot more comfortable going into more traditional racetracks for the rest of the season.
Cars are nowhere near as clean as they were when we started.
Get to see the actual dirt now getting on these cars. I think that's the one thing that's fun about these tracks. After you get a couple of about that of 40 to 50 laps into the race, the dirt starts to show, and you see the grit as the pace truck is off. We're back to green flag racing, and Tyler Fode trying to get back to his smooth run, staying low as Zachary Rogers had the lead, built it up, and he has not looked comfortable for the last that of green flag laps of the last 5. It's going to be the 40 trying to just pull the way the best that he can. It's going to be side by side for second. Well, not for very long. Yellow flag's out.
Mark Keeler.
And Mark Keeler going to be high.
That was down into Brent Jones.
Misses the cushion and just gets so loose. Oh. He almost found a spot that could have really ruined his night.
Well, it gives me time for another read. I can do TA Services. For over 36 years, TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider, offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing and fulfillment, and cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services moves what matters to you. All right, here we go. Let the TA Services make ship happen for you. There you go. I did it very carefully. Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small business. Small business owners, Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Yeah, I collected my thoughts first and made sure I read it and said it right.
That's SHIP. As there's going to be the drivers getting back onto the lead lap. And drivers are frustrated. They were mad already in that lap 2's caution. And it's been very interesting on our end. We can hear the drivers through our radio chat. And it's one of those things where dirt track racing, I feel like most drivers should just go in recognizing, I'm going to get wrecked. Now, how I get wrecked, it might be frustrating, but it's going to happen. I'm not going to leave this race without an incident point. And if someone does, they obviously were not. They were in last place, just waiting for everyone else to wreck.
My left ear hurts right now. They don't need to yell.
They do.
Oh, sometimes I think we just forget that we're doing this for fun.
That is the thing.
Doesn't cost a whole lot when you mess up one of these virtual cars.
It just means you have to come into pit road for 15 minutes at most, unless you blow an engine, which that you have to really try with this car. But here we go. Let's see how this restart's going to fly, as Tyler Fode's going to hope that he can keep the lead to the very end. Pace truck's off, and we're back to green flag racing here for the best Bristol dirt race. It's going to be saying that of the 40, feeling good, confident, trying to pull away the best that he can.
Whoa, Hunter Smith's flying there.
And Gonna be seeing that 17, excuse me, trying to make the pass. Going forward, but Joey Thomas picking the nose. Not able to get underneath the 0-3, but oh no, Rogers in a little bit of bump action and the yellow flag flies.
Yeah, we know who that one was on. That's on Zach Rogers.
And that gave me a little bit of flashbacks of what we saw from Thornquist earlier in this race. Just got too high, turned the wheel a little bit too much, couldn't get it. Wanted to turn around, to make the turn properly, and luckily, a lot of other drivers were able to avoid it as there was enough space, but obviously a brown pants type of a moment.
Johnny Thomas, gets a little bit contact from Hunter Smith. He stays out of Rogers. One of the tough parts of it is by the time they get done with these 150 laps, they'll start to get the hang of it. But then we're done.
I don't think they are. Here's the thing. They're not doing like 150 laps of green flag racing where you figure it out. I mean, half the race has been under yellow pacing. So, and while you're pacing, the track changes even more just because the amount of cars are just rolling all over this track. So every time you do a new restart, the track is drastically different than what it was before. At this point, I mean, it feels a lot more consistent because most of the track is used up, but this is that time of the race where experience really conquers more than true just driver skill at times.
So would you say that that would be what a good dirt racer would have to have, is a lot of experience under their belt where they've experienced just about every kind of different track surface and situation, and then they go into a race and they just adjust as they go with whatever they're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. And it's kind of difficult when you're trying to practice by yourself because you don't have the 40 drivers that are on track. And so the track, you might be prepping of, running and practicing by yourself. You're like, okay, so around that of lap 35, the track truly starts to change up. And that's lap 60, it changes a little bit differently. And then you got to realize, okay, those changes that you practice by yourself with are going to happen in the first 5 to maybe 15 laps, and then it's going to get even more aggressive on how this track changes every 20 to 15 laps. And that's why a lot of these drivers, they looked really good in the first 40 laps, maybe for some, and then once this track was completely worn out, there was really not much you could do. Now, iRacing does give you the ability to change the track state, luckily, where you can put in, if it's been 50% usage, 100% usage. I think if drivers are practicing at 100% usage, really gives you a good dynamic of how the track is going to feel 80 laps into a run and how the track's going to be for the rest of the race. Pace truck gets off. It's time for us to go back to green flag racing. 15 cautions in. Will we see 16 immediately? Or in a few laps as we're back to green flag running, and it's going to be seen Tyler Fode feeling confident for himself. But the drivers up in the top 5, all trying to get aggressive potentially here as further back in the field. You see all the drivers side by side of door bang there from Andrew Rucker, giving it to the 2 of Robert Hill Jr. Yeah, this is where the side-by-side racing really is finding their way, and Tucker. Woo! They are sending it. Some drivers feeling like it doesn't matter if there's a wall or not. I'm going to go in as fast as possible as that Tate Lytle bounces off the wall. And here comes the wall riding aspect of how these drivers are going to react going up against the wall. And how will the admins also try to police that, as wall riding is technically the faster way around this track as long as you don't completely destroy your car.
Alec Balvan's trying to get around Rucker there.
And here comes Scott Crump. Huge dive bomb move for that of the 90 machine. Just wasn't able to clear.
Oh, Tate Lytle gets to the side of Robert Hill.
And they'll survive for now as Hill do a diamond corner, hit the apex, and try to get straight as fast as possible. Crump continues in the 90 machine to make a slide job move for the pass for 10th place. It just does not work out for himself. As we move up ahead, we got that of Tucker as well as Scott going to be racing around one another as Hunter Smith falling off of our top 4.
Might be one of our longest green flag runs.
No!
I jinxed it.
Can't say those things. We know better, David. We know better. As Tucker tries to get on that of Kwame Scott's back bumper, not able to do so.
I like to face my fears. You got to say it. You got to put it out there.
Well, that's rude to say. We got to try to keep positive energy for how these drivers are running. And speaking of that, seeing very aggressive racing for these drivers that are running again for 5th position at the moment. But for our leaders, they've got a lot of lap traffic that's now closed in. Tyler Fody trying to get by the 1 of Adams as well as the 70. Not able to close in, kind of being trapped behind lap traffic every time the 40 gets by one driver.
And on the nose of Tyler here, see what he sees. He's headed up through the lap traffic.
Brent Jones stays low, closing in on Ryan Gavel. Gavel's struggling at the moment. You can tell center of the corner off that he's just so loose, wants to snap at every single moment possible. And that's a scary thought to see. He's been snapping and going that high. As the leader, you want to be above him. And he's going to snap down again. Watch out. Here he comes. Gavel trying to hold on, trying to stay above that of the 40 machine, which causes Fody to snap loose because he's trying to react to how the 01's been driving. And when you're chasing a driver, it's great to have that, but this is now going to be causing that of the 70 and the 03 to close in. More lap traffic ahead. It's going to be seeing that of the 9 stay low out of the way. Rusty Capel feeling good for himself, but once again, Gavel holds on. He's starting to recognize I've got to hold my line. If I drop down, I'm taking out one of our leaders right now. Ryan Gavel now goes low, which is going to be causing the 70 to hold off as, they've got to be careful as they're coming up to that of Chris Wright. Wright, last driver on the lead lap. Into the high side. Going to be Tyler Fody, and now the gaggle of cars. How do you hold on as Joyner gets into the 70? We stay green. That kept it straight, but for how long, it's the true question. As Joyner's going to be taking that position for himself. Tyler Fody gets through more lap traffic. As it's bobbing and weaving, trying to find your spot, and as well, it just gets worse in front of you as that of Joey Chapman gets loose in front of our leader. But for that, Tyler Fody luckily got by some of the chaos in front of him and will survive for now. As more lap traffic continues to loom, now it's more of a traditional Bristol race where lead lap drivers, lap down cars, they're mixed and mingled. As, oh no, drivers, it's going to be the 2 and the 1 bringing out the yellow. They're going to be stuck with one another in that outside wall as more drivers going to be collected with issues. Woo. That incident is not great to see as more drivers wreck after the yellow, as here's what brought out the yellow
Robert
here tonight.
Hill came from all the way down at the bottom and just pinned Josh Adams against the outside wall. Now behind it, we have Kyle Walgren involved.
And Andrew Rucker is not happy about this one. Oh, Tucker gets in front of him. And it's locked down. And then decides to move. And
Well, that's why Rucker's not happy.
Rucker, at the time of that incident, was one of the drivers that was inside of our top 10. Just there's nothing you can do in that point. You think the driver's going to stay locked up on those brakes, and Didn't happen. Well, David, I mean, the jinx didn't happen immediately, but we did.
That's
get
right.
that
I was going to
yellow-
say it went long enough that I don't think that was me.
Here, the thing is I was thinking the same exact thing. I just didn't want to state it.
That's experience on your part. I'm still claiming to be new, and I just say the wrong thing at the wrong time. I'm gonna own it and go with it.
I mean, a lot of our crew that we've had here at the Elite Racing Network, there is so much power that we feel like we have in our words that we feel like if we say the wrong thing or we praise the right driver, they're gonna get caught up in a wreck. So we try to keep our mouth shut at some things.
Oh, definitely. Rish was horrible at it. Rish would talk about how good a night somebody was having, and 5 seconds later they were in the wall. So,
the one thing that I've learned of commentating is if you see a driver that's dominating in that of the point standings, you can talk about them all you want. I mean, Tyler Fody right now comes into tonight. He's got his 2 wins so far this season. He's dominating points wise, and he's leading right now, trying to go for win number 3 of this season. He is looking great. One thing he's got to be careful of is live traffic if we get another long green flag run.
Yeah, he's great. Had great car control all night. He looks pretty comfortable on dirt, I would say. My question after the race is going to be, I'm going to ask everybody what they would say their experience on dirt would be. I mean, how many times they've driven a next gen car on dirt, and see what we get. So,
I know a lot of drivers practice the trucks here on dirt. They got the Xfinity when it's Bristol Dirt official week. And so drivers like to try out how much they can. As driver that got a lucky duck spot, it's going to be that of Chris Wright back on the lead lap, as he's going to be the 25th driver so far on the lead lap. We started with 45. Well, we've only got 25 left on the lead lap. And a lot of drivers have called it a night. Jeff Green, Joshua Adams, Brent Jones, Mark Keeler, R.C. Anderson, Chad Thornquist joins that of Wesley Crump, Bronson Stafford, Matthew Weeks, Cash James, Ethan Burrell, and that of Gerald Campbell that have called it a night so far. As up front, we are back to green flag racing. Tyler Fody trying to hold off the best that he can, but going to be drivers further behind that are going to get real mixy because they know it is go time. 20 laps to go. You got to make your move now if you're going to be going for a chance for the win.
we forgot to pick who was gonna win at 25 to go.
That's fine. We don't have to make that choice because honestly, it looks like Tyler Fody might be that driver. No one's close to him. We saw for a quick couple of moments of seeing the 70 looking like a factor. David Tooker's looked fast. Hunter Smith's looked quick. Right now, no one is looking even close to that of Tyler Fody. And the main reason why, he's just been so smooth. Everyone else has been struggling to stay consistent. Latham Joyner, though, he's going to try to mix things a little bit mixy here. 17 laps to go. It's Tyler Fody leading the way for himself. Latham Joyner sending it into each and every corner, and he looks good on the entry. The exit, though, is where he's losing a lot of speed. He's trying to do what we call a diamonding corner. You go quick into the apex, and then you shoot the car right down low, trying to find as much speed, but a caution will come out, and it's another pile up, and it's Hunter. Going to be that of seeing Hunter Smith caught up in this one. It looks like the traditional center of the corner get too loose and drop immediately down below. Johnny Thomas gets more contact, and this is a oh no type of a moment.
Yeah, like Johnny got back up into him and turned him around, and then into Tate Lytle. Fieldhouse involved. Also looked like we got Wyatt Nadles involved. Chad Frankenfield collected. Zach Evans hard into the back of Wyatt.
Zachary Rogers, Tate Lytle, Hunter Smith.
That's a lot of cars.
Hank Steinmiller and David Shieldhouse all going to be with required damage. And we are going to try to get drivers in line and quickly get rolling as we are with 15 laps to go left in this race. And David Shieldhouse, who
Whoa.
looked quick.
Rucker almost got
more
through.
drivers. Oh!
Rebelus piles into him.
You see Wright and Brett Jones making their contact. As more drivers going to be calling it a night for themselves. David Shieldhouse, the next to go to the garage area. But Shieldhouse was having a great showing here tonight for the 20 machine in those first 40 laps. He was up front until he was caught up with the wreck, Chad Thornquist, and never could rebound. He was just caught up in the gaggle of cars, and once you get this far into a race, it's pretty difficult to make passes. And now we get ourselves set up to see how this race is going to finish. Tyler Foudy, Latham Joyner going to be the front two. Rasmus going to be in third position with David Tooker. Kwame Scott going to be in fifth with that of Johnny Thomas sixth. Scott Crump going to be seventh. Nick Massey somehow. Well, Nick Massey's in the top 10. Dustin
We haven't talked
Doors
about
in
him all
ninth.
day.
Chad Frankenfield, who was caught up in our first incident of the day, he's now up 10th. Joshua Clark in 11th. I mean, there's still a lot of drivers that are trying to make some miracle days. Up front, it seems like our front five have been similar for the past about that of 50 laps. But how much will it change? Let's find out as they're accordioning all the way back. And Johnny Thomas was the smart one. He ducked down low to make sure he didn't get any front nose damage. As Tyler Foudy is trying to pull away. Here comes Latham Joyner, though, with a great run on the outside. And going to be seeing Joyner trying to hold off that Erasmus. And here comes David Tucker. He's been very aggressive in the 19. He's been sliding all over the place, but Joyner a little bit too high. 11 laps to go, coming to 10 to go at the line. And it's a never give up mentality that we've seen all night long. Joyner's been put up in the wall. Rasmus has been having his issues, and they want a top three finish. David Tucker's been spun around. Kwame Smith's been stuck in a three wide scenarios a couple of times. He's still up in the top five, as everyone else struggling to catch up to this group. But three different lanes still being utilized, and all the different speed you're trying to find. And Joyner trying to find a little bit of anything as Hank Steinmiller is trying to get back out on track. Oh no, Rasmus right in front of Steinmiller.
Yeah, we're yellow.
Well, this is going to be putting us in a shootout style. Like we've been seeing, you get out of that cushion on the outside, automatically breaks out loose, and then just finished off by David Tooker. Kwame Smith's got to give credit to the 95, able to slow down in time and not take out Tooker. But Hank Steinmiller just gets out of pit road and then caught up in an incident.
All right, quickly, let me get Breezy Cam in here. Breezy Cam is one of our premier sponsors. Breezy's a venture-backed tech company based in Toronto and Boston. They're on a mission to reimagine the group photo experience. Gone are the days of carrying around a tripod or a selfie stick. They help their customers and users tell better stories around meaningful moments. They let anyone tap into nearby cameras to capture group memories at iconic places, and if users were controlling their own native camera app, except now from a perfectly positioned vantage point. Today you can find Breezy at well-known sports venues and cultural landmarks across 4 continents. That's Breezy Cam.
Breezy Cam, I mean, I think that is one of the more funner things to have. That is an aspect that you never really think about very often, of going to iconic places and having cameras already set up, prepared for you. I think the only thing you have to worry about is really if people are going to be trying to, jump behind and photobomb you. But that is such a cool app to be having. It's a great sponsor to be having here at the Elite Racing Network and for the Elite Racing League.
I keep meaning to look up where they're at, see if there's somewhere I'm going to be. Of course, the way the world's been in the last 3 years, I haven't been a whole lot of places, but I have places I would like to go.
So if you're going to be going anywhere on vacation out there in chat, go check out that Breezy. You can see if you have a Breezy Cam where your destination is. As more drivers are done, it's going to be that of Kyle Waldergrain. Thought about he was going to give it another try. and he is going to be parking it. With 5 laps to go, this is going to be a quick shootout for our drivers up front. And now is the question of overtime. And how many attempts of overtime will we need once we get to that destination? Because we are still inside of our 150 lap regulation. But if we get a quick yellow before the white flag, this race will go to overtime. It's going to be that Tyler Fody, Joyner, Tucker, Kwame Scott, and Johnny Thomas, your top 5. And Scott Crump's done a great job recovering. He'll be up to 6th for the 90 machine. Pace truck's off. Let's get back to rolling action as it's going to be that of Tyler Fody. Latham Joyner going to be in 2nd place. And Fody trying to run a very traditional high arcing and then get rolling out of the exit, while Joyner running high and trying to find his extra speed in the 0-3, closing in the gap. Can he get a good run out of turn number 4? He does. A little bit of a shimmy by the 40. Now it's all about who can get side by side, or will you dive bomb it?
Oh, 40 around a little bit.
Just keeps flirting with that outside lane where we've seen so many issues with our front runners. And he'll go high once again. Joyner's going to stay in a pretty straight line. He'll have to back out of the corner for himself. Coming to that of 2 laps to go. If we get a yellow, we will go to overtime. Tyler Fody hoping they can hold off Latham Joyner, David Tucker. They're side by side, and that's going to be holding off the 0-3. Exactly what Tyler Fody needs through 3 and 4. Looking for the white flag. Will it come? It is. The 40 machine gets the white flag. He's got a big enough gap to look good, but Joyner needs to throw it down, find a little bit of extra speed. It's just not there right now. Tyler Fody looking good for the 40 machine. Kwame Scott's going to go low, out of the way, through 3 and 4. The last dash, it's not good enough. Tyler Fody, give him 3 for the season. He wins again here at the Bristol Dirt. Overtime not necessary, and David, we both were wrong. They did not get to 20 cautions. They only got to 18. They kept it green. Majority of the time they're late in that race. We saw a couple of wrecks that maybe would have been questionable, but this 40 machine qualified 9th, worked his way slowly through the front runners, avoided some of the big wrecks, and will find himself heading into victory lane as Tyler Fody.
Donuts on dirt's got to be pretty easy.
Gets to spin it around and keep himself out of trouble. As Tyler Fody, Lake Norman Motorsports team, is 3rd win of the season. He won at the wildcard race at Daytona, the wildcard race at Las Vegas, and he tripled down. Another wildcard race here at Bristol. We didn't know who was going to get it done, but it's the 40 machine that does. With Latham Joyner going to be in 2nd, David Tucker 3rd, that of Kwame Scott going to get 4th, with that of Johnny Thomas 5th, Scott Crump 6th, 7th goes to that of Nick Massey. Shane Tarian, a recovery run for the 83 up to 8th, with that of Chad Frankenfield 9th, and Dustin Dorr going to get top 10. As we get to cycle through the rest of the field, I mean, David, obviously there were a lot of favorites that we saw throughout the night. Pole setter Zach Rogers going to get 21st position. We also got to see the sights of
Chris
RC
Wright got in the
Enerson and
top
others.
20.
And, yeah.
Stayed
Keep
on the
himself
lead
out of
lap.
trouble, sit on the lead lap.
Get down here, you get into the guys who had trouble most of the evening.
Gerald
Way down
Campbell, I know that wasn't the night that he wanted, nor was it really the night that RC Enerson, Chad Thornquist, they were battling for the lead at one moment. David Shieldhouse is going to get 31st for the night that he was showing. But only 18 yellows in total. And I think a lot of drivers excited this night is done for themselves. As crazy to think, I'm looking through the field, 14th finisher, Joshua Clark, the only driver here tonight to have 0 incident points.
Wow. Well, we got our podium are in the waiting room. Which do you want first?
Let's start things off. We usually, you do first, first, or do you do all the way through?
Different guys do different ways. Usually Cup, I think we do first through third. So.
All right, then
So
let's
we'll
do
take
first
Tyler
through
Fody
third.
first.
Tyler, it's Sam and David up in the booth. What a run for yourself. Kept that nose out of trouble the best that you could. But man, tell us how difficult it was out there on track.
Yeah, it was difficult. It's pretty fun too, though. The slipping and sliding. First time this series has gone on the dirt, so it's something new for everybody. But came to grips with it pretty quick, and yeah, I mean, it started off, I was, I think, 5th or 6th for the first third of the race. Had to dodge some wrecks, got some pretty heavy left front damage, too. But once everyone kind of weeded themselves out, we got going single file, made a couple moves, and then we're just able to maintain it.
Tyler, I had the easy question tonight. I can just ask everybody, how much experience would you say you have in a next-gen car on dirt?
0 with the next gen, but I have done 2 truck dirt races, I think, now that Elite's done. The truck series always runs at least 1 dirt race, and I've done the last 2, so I had some stock car experience on dirt, but not the next gen. It's definitely a little different for sure.
Well, Tyler, a crazy season so far. You found yourself in a victory lane now 3 times out of the 5 races we've ran this season. How are you feeling with the rest of the season that's coming up? Because it seems like if we go into a pretty wild card setup type of a race, you're the guy to watch out for.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised with how it's gone, honestly. We've just been there at the right moments and capitalized on a few things. But obviously it feels good to be able to win at 3 different disciplines of racetrack. Still got a little bit to work on, though, as far as the road courses go. But no, I mean, feeling good with pretty much everything else.
Well, Tyler, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, as always, the Lake Norman Motorsports guys, Gavel, Hank, and Chris, right, tonight. They had, it sounded like it was pretty rough, honestly. We had a bunch of broken toe links and this, that, and the other, and laps down, and trying to get back up through the field with a few of them, but it's always fun having them in the chat, racing with them every week. So shout out to them. Shout out to Blue Egg Marketing. I'm happy to be able to put them in victory lane this many times this year. And shout out to you also, you guys up here in the booth for putting on the broadcast.
That's going to be the 40 machine of Tyler Fody. Congratulations on your 3rd win this season, and have fun celebrating this.
Yep, thank you guys.
As we go from victory lane, let's talk to 2nd place finisher. That's going to be Latham Joyner, who's going to be joining us. Latham, it's Sam and David up in the booth. Man, coming up just shy there at the end. But man, what a run that you had. What were you looking for there in pace? Because it looked like everyone was searching for speed.
Yeah, probably just some consistency, probably. I don't have very many laps around here in really anything, because the first time it came out, I ran 5 laps, said it was trash, and never came back. So this is probably the first race I ran. I didn't get any clean lap practice in qualifying, or in practice, and then qualified. I qualified like 7th, so I thought that was all right. Didn't push it hard enough at the beginning, but I felt like I managed it pretty well. And then towards the middle there, I kind of was the fastest car, and then kind of fell off, and then had to relearn the racetrack again, and then drove back to 2nd through the lap traffic. Almost had him there at the end. I feel like I cooled my right rear down more than he did under caution, and it just made him more loose, and I had to run. But I didn't want to hit him and mess anything up.
I know you mentioned you haven't had a lot of time in these cars, but as a rookie in the league, what's your thoughts on what Elite does here, where they throw a dirt track into the middle of the season like this?
Like it. Anything that real life does, I think you should always have 1 or so in the league. I think the road courses are a bit much. Some of them that we go to, I honestly liked whenever we went to the Red Bull Ring and stuff like that, and Monza. They're better than the NASCAR road courses, in my opinion. But yeah, I like dirt. That's what I ran the first 3 years on the sim, like before I even tried or anything. That's just what I did to have fun. So it kind of came back to me tonight.
Well, speaking of road courses, that's the next destination in 2 weeks. How are you feeling about heading to the Roval?
I mean, I like the Roval. Do I think I'll be faster than these people? Maybe a top 10. I think that's what I got at the Red Bull Ring whenever we ran there in the Xfinity cars. So that's probably the goal. Top 15 would be fine. Just anywhere up there would be fine with me.
Well, congratulations on a second place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank first and foremost Brinkley Hefner Racing, and then obviously Stay Tuned Esports for In the League Racing. I got to talk to Crump all night. He was fun to talk to for the first time during a race. Want to thank Elite Cuts, Excalibur Racing Engines, and then Lowe's. I couldn't be here without them.
And it's going to be Latham Joyner in that of 0-3, coming away with second place finish. Congratulations, and have a great time celebrating this off week as we go from second place to that of third. We got David Tucker in the 19 with us. David, what a run for yourself here tonight. You really had to work your way back up to the front after some of the fiascos that you found yourself in. But man, how was it trying to keep that nose as clean as possible?
Sam, it was pretty tough. With it being a dirt race, there's not very many grooves to venture out and try to make those passes, but we were running good, top 5 what felt like the entire race, at least the first half, and sticking right there with my teammate RC. Unfortunately, he got caught up in a wreck earlier and got some damage, but he was also really fast. But I think the biggest thing was just trying to be patient. Spot the gaps when they're available and don't be afraid to take them, because if you hesitate a little bit, it's just you can't make that pass. And unfortunately, the way this racing works is you gotta drive it in deep and slide up, and hopefully the guy cuts you a break or does something so you guys can keep rolling. But I felt I found something later in that run, and like the last 50 laps or so, I started running up against the wall, and if I could get to the outside of somebody, it was definitely going to be harder for the car on the bottom to pull the momentum. And once I figured that out, I started using that a lot more and was able to get around a couple guys, which towards the end of the race, trying to get towards the top 5 was so tough. The pace was so close, and it was just who got where and when. And that's what happened. I ended up driving back up to third, and considering how this race went, I'm very happy with that.
Well, David, we know you're very good on the road courses and the ovals, but a lot of the drivers were kind of moaning and groaning before they came in here. What were your kind of thoughts as we headed toward the dirt?
Dave, I think it's up in the air. This race can either be really good or really bad, and depending on the driver, they're going to like it or they're going to hate it. Dirt racing is just a whole nother level of racing. It's nothing like road course racing. It's nothing like oval racing. You take everything you know about pavement and throw it out the window. And that's what I love about dirt racing so much, is it's so unique from every other form of motorsport that it really does take the driver to come out and perform as well as they can. It takes a lot out of the driver more than the car. And I think after this race, I definitely have a lot more respect for the dirt guys, because that's not in any way easy, any shape or form. But I think just having a little bit of experience with, I do a lot of drifting on my sim as well. So having that little bit of experience of knowing how to keep the car sideways and keep it stable there really came in handy. And just learning throttle control and wheel input, that was the biggest thing. Is once the groove got laid down, it was so slick around there. It was so tough to hang on to. But the guys that do really well in the throttle management and knowing how much wheel they can put into a car without it oversteering, they took advantage of that tonight, and I felt like we got that with our results.
Well, David, tonight was a great night overall points-wise for you, being one of those bubble drivers just outside of our top 14. But in 2 weeks, we go road course racing. How are you feeling comfortable-wise heading to the Roval?
I think the Roval is definitely up there as far as tracks I want to win at. Unfortunately, I've yet to win there. I'd love to. The Roval is definitely very different from any other road course. Blending with an oval and a road course, blending into one, and just the level of difficulty that road course has. It's a lot of patience, a lot of low speed corners. And then you get towards the second half of the track and you're flat flying around the oval. So I think it's a different level of finesse compared to most road courses, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, David, congratulations again on a third place finish. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody at Pro Edge Racing. We did really well tonight, or at least we tried to. I know a couple guys didn't really get to finish the race quite like they wanted to. Ethan Burrell making the start for us because he was available. Shout out to him. He was probably running really well. I'm not really sure what happened. All I know is he got caught up in a wreck towards the bottom of the track, which was really unfortunate. Weeks. I know he's not really a big fan of dirt. RC Anderson, he's fast in anything you put him in. It's just he just caught the bad end of the stick there with Thornquist, and that's just how dirt racing goes. You run out of groove and you run out of room, and next thing you know, you're in next to a car or hitting them. But like I said, everybody at Pro Edge Racing, everybody, all of our partners, TA Services, Blue Egg, KMP Graphics, Brizzy. I know I'm going to forget a few names. Obviously, everybody at Elite Racing League, all of our admins, everybody that is involved to make this thing run as well as it does, and also JD Designs. He created this beautiful paint scheme for me. Unfortunately, it didn't last too long at Darlington, but it definitely made it all the way to the end tonight, and was very happy to put it on the podium. And also want to thank you guys for what you do in the booth for us. Really appreciate it.
That is going to be David Tucker in the 19 machine coming away that of third. Congratulations, and have a nice off break there, Tucker.
Thank you.
As that is our interviews for tonight. David, what a night it was. Got to see a lot of cautions, got to see some great racing periodically throughout those pacing laps. But man, Bristol Dirt certainly put on a show.
Yeah, it was definitely wild. A lot of moving and shaking. A lot of people that we didn't talk about all night. Nick Massey ends up in 7th place, and I don't think we mentioned his name all night long. So a lot of action out there. It'd be great to go back and watch this again and try to look at some of the other movers and shakers and how they got to where they ended up.
One of our biggest movers was going to be that of Nick Massey, up 32 positions from where he started back in that 39th. Congratulations on that move. And as well, congratulations to our winner here tonight, the 40 machine at Tyler Fody. He made the march all the way through this field for himself, and he kept that nose out of trouble the best that he could. But here tonight, thank you for joining us on Wednesday night coverage on the Elite Racing Network of the Elite Racing League. JoinAPS.com Cup Series. For myself, Sam Dyer, for that of David Huckleberry, doing double duty of commentating and producing. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks. That is when we head to the Roval. Have next week off, but we cannot wait to see you then. Congratulations again to all the drivers and everyone that helps at the Elite Racing Network. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you in 2 weeks.